Well, the winter weather's starting to wrap up across the South and Tennessee Valley tonight, but starting to move into areas of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We'll see snow here heading into Tuesday, so a snowy start. It could be slick early in the morning, and then that's all gone. Then we look at our next system across the west. That's going to move east, and it could bring snow to some of the same areas that are seeing snow today. Hey guys, welcome to the channel today. If you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Travis Roberts. I'm a former TV chief meteorologist here on YouTube, doing some videos, doing some forecast analysis, so thanks for stopping by. We're going to start here in the east with our snow. Mixed precipitation overnight into early Tuesday morning across the deep south. So we could see it from Hattiesburg up into Birmingham, maybe even as far south as, do we get it all the way to the coast here toward Destin? I don't know, but man, I'll tell you, the NAM is trying to push it all the way to the coast. It's been doing that all day, even yesterday, further to the west across Louisiana. And, you know, what's happening, that cold air is more dense than that warm air, and it's catching up with it here at the end, changing things over to some ice here on the south side. Before we get ahead of ourselves, here's the timestamp, by the way, at the top right. You can kind of follow along. We've got the snow moving into the northeast as we head through the morning hours, snow going overnight into Pennsylvania, and then into southern New England by the time we wake up tomorrow. We've got widespread coverage. We've already probably seen some light accumulations by this point. So we're snowing now from Boston all the way back to Albany. Pennsylvania, we're covered with snow here into parts of New Jersey, New York City. I think we get snow out of this. What's going to be interesting though is this line here trying to mix over with some mixed precipitation as we head through the afternoon hours. We've got the snow going into parts of northern New England, into Maine too. And this snow up here could be a little heavier as low pressure tries to get going here off the northeast coast. By the time we move into the overnight hours and into Wednesday morning, we're drying out, but look, we've still got lake effect snow going here off of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. The lakes are clearly unfrozen, and with frigid air moving in, that moisture is just getting picked up. We've got that instability that's being created by those lakes and just feet of snow getting dumped downwind of the lakes in some cases. Now, as far as snow output goes, this is actually the NAM model, taking a look at it. Now, most of this back here across Tennessee and Virginia will be falling early tonight into early Tuesday morning into the northeast. We're looking at a couple of inches, so we're talking about widespread 2 to 4 inches here. A lot of winter weather advisories have been issued. Head to weather.gov to get the latest advisories for wherever you are, and then those totals go up just a little bit as you head up into Maine. Again, as low pressure tries to get going up here. If we see higher totals, it will likely be up in here, but this is actually the national database forecast from the National Weather Service. So yeah, a good solid 2 to 3 inches possible here in New York City. That's what the Weather Service is going with. Winter weather advisories have been issued for New York City. And here's a wider look from the forecast database. You can see some higher numbers here into northern Maine. Now here comes the cold. Look at the low temperatures on Wednesday. We'll be bottoming out across the Appalachians underneath that snowpack too, all the way down into Tennessee, close to zero. It's interesting to see how that snowpack is interacting with the clear skies that we'll see here, letting everything just radiate out into space at night. So that cold air showing up here on the European model into the northeast. Interior air is easily in the single digits back towards Chicago. Northwest of that, we're below zero. We may not get below zero there on Wednesday morning. And then some moderation as we head toward the end of the week here across the east. Now, another shot of cold air moves down into the weekend. So by Sunday morning, we're looking at low temperatures in the Appalachians near zero here across the northeast, and another shot of cold air back here across Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. Some cold weather on the way. And it looks like potentially another round of snow. The European model has been very consistent on bringing that snow this time into parts of Ohio and Kentucky. It doesn't look like a big snowmaker at this point. These areas here across Kentucky and Virginia and West Virginia may have a second round of snow that's moving through. Another piece of energy hangs back. It's really interesting to watch. If you look in the upper level, some of this energy that's going to catch up with this is actually rotating through the mid-Atlantic into the northeast with the system now. It's going to rotate all the way around the polar vortex, which is situated up into Canada, and then swing back around, connect here, and likely bring some snow showers. So that's one of the reasons why how strong it gets off the coast tonight and tomorrow, I think, will ultimately impact what happens now, looking at Thursday, Friday, and then into Saturday here into the northeast with a system that could bring more snow here. Now, it's going to be cold behind this system. We're talking about lake effect snow once again, cold, unfrozen Lake Michigan here, Lake Huron, Superior, picking up moisture, even Lake Erie, bringing that snow all the way down into the Appalachians. And, you know, it's hard to imagine, but even into western North Carolina, with this fetch, if you follow these isobars, they move straight from Lake Michigan here. And sometimes you can get the perfect setup where you get that lake effect snow, or lake enhanced snow, I guess might be the appropriate term, but you can get it as far south as North Carolina here in the mountains of East Tennessee. We'll see that heading through the weekend, all the way up into Pennsylvania. Lake effect snow going good here off of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. A little bit of a different wind direction this time. We're dealing with that southwest flow here, pounding that snow on the east side of the lakes. This time it looks like it'll be on the southeast side of the lakes with that northwest wind just howling and keeping it cold. Across the west, the system will be moving in, bringing snow here and rain. This ultimately will be that system I just showed you that will head to the east. It's going to bring a lot of snow here into interior areas. The snow has been relentless across the Pacific Northwest. We've got another system, again, moving in now, and then behind that one, another one. This is where things change. Heading into next week, it's cold here in the east. I'm going to flip sources. We're going to go to this. This is the upper level pattern right now. Here's our polar vortex just spinning right here across southeast Canada. That starts to lift out. Another shot of cold air moves in as we head into the weekend. And then look at next week, the blowtorch is on. Big ridging here across the east, and with that warm temperatures, we've got southwest flow starting to develop here, and that likely means temperatures above average. And that's why next week, as we get that return flow, we actually start to see rain breaking out. Now, what we'll have to watch is on the north side of that cold air may be slower to retreat than the warm air is to move in. So we may get some icing on the north side of that as it moves in, but either way, we develop southwest flow, bringing in those warmer temperatures and quite a bit of moisture too coming in here off the Gulf. Now again, next week, after this trough moves out and we get warm, you're probably going to hear people saying, I knew it wouldn't last, especially if you're in the east. Now, across the west, we're going to get cold. We're going to get unsettled here. There could be some showers into Southern California, maybe even some snow moving in with those systems definitely below average here. And in response to that, you get that ridging here in the east. But, you know, I was looking at some of the long-range forecasts, the European weeklies. This is kind of a different view. So here's the United States, here's Canada, up here's Alaska, North Pole, just off screen here. The cold air really retreating here. Now we've got a trough across Greenland as the North Atlantic Oscillation goes strongly positive. And what that means is typically across the east, we get warm. When the North Atlantic Oscillation is negative, we usually go cold. It also ties into the Arctic Oscillation, the PNA. We're not going to get into all of that. What you care about is whether it's going to get cold or not. And I'll tell you what, the long-range weeklies did an excellent job of detecting this cold that we're seeing right now back around December 20th. You know, almost a month out. Looking down the road, that warmth doesn't last. Ridging starting to build here across Alaska, and in response to that, we're getting a trough here, but we also have our old friend polar vortex here breaking off from the north, and check that out. We start to see that low get established here, I think across the Hudson. That's the Hudson Bay. You know, the last couple of runs have been a little reluctant to bring that further to the south, but the main thing that I'm seeing is you've got your ridging here, and mainly across the United States, you've got northwesterly flow. Okay, and this right here is a cold pattern. And someone was telling me, you know, it's going to be baking up here in Canada, and while it will be above average, it's not going to be that warm. I mean, it's Canada in February. It's cold. What that does mean, though, is we're probably going to be displacing some of that cold air in Canada, and you're seeing it here reflected in the below average temperatures here across the southeast. And, you know, really pushing things out, here we go toward the end of February. I don't know if I believe anything this far out, but the trend has been to keep that northwest flow going. And just to give you an idea of the reflection of what we're looking at next week, definitely coming out of the southwest versus this as we head into the 1st of February, coming out of the northwest, and that is a cold pattern. Winter's certainly not over. I know we're just getting going. I think the coldest months, at least relative to normal, will be ahead. February and March. I may be wrong. It won't be the first time. If you want a perfect meteorologist, don't follow me. If you'd like to keep up with the shenanigans, follow, like the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.